All right. If more people come on, great. If not, not a big deal. All right. So let's go over goal kicks to start with. So we try to get the formation for 4v4 into a kind of a 1-2-1 formation. So that's one defender, two wide midfielders, okay, on either side, and then the forward, which is the highest person. So it's kind of like a diamond formation, 1-2-1. Now for a goal kick, obviously if the red team, the attacking team, have kicked the ball out and they haven't scored on this end line, all right, now it's a goal kick on this side of the field. Once the ball's a goal kick, the
Look, three.
opposition players have to go back towards the halfway line. Okay, so once there's a goal kick, we advise, or they have to, the players go back to the halfway line. Now, once the ball is kicked into play, now the players can push up. Okay, so that's the rules of the goal kick. Now, the formation and the goal kick is again kind of a 1-2-1. What I see a lot of recreational and some other academies, honestly, is that one player, obviously a goal kick, they just have one kick. All right, so they usually kick it as hard as they can down the field, and obviously that's kind of a difficult situation because the red team can easily intercept and they're dribbling possibly 1v1 or 2v2 onto the goal. So with the formation of 1-2-1, you have a player kind of close to the other player. Now it depends on the qualities of your players. If you have players that can pass the ball well, that can strike the ball, you might want to get this player a little bit wider. Okay, so they can pass to the side. Now it gives them a little bit more time and space to dribble up the field. Okay, so hopefully this player can dribble. Obviously once that ball is in play, the opposition players can start to press and try to steal the ball. Now this player obviously has decisions to make, whether it's a dribble or hopefully maybe a pass to our forward players, so he can score on that goal. So it's important to have a player right beside the other player. Again, you don't because the opposition have to be back to the halfway line. The closer this player is to the ball, just the more time and space they have to dribble. So this player just one easy pass here. Again, you have a bunch of space to dribble up. And again, maybe if you can't play that ball here, and that player maybe comes in, maybe that they can dribble across and play the wide player into goal. All right. So those are kind of just the situations on a goal kick. The 3v3 field is pretty much similar as well. So the players are advised to drop back to the halfway line, one kick in, and that player can obviously dribble up on that 3v3. So this kind of just relates to 3v3 or the 4v4 format. If the ball is kicked out by the red onto the other side and they don't score, the goal kick must be played on the other side of the goal. And again, if you can play it kind of close to the goal, so obviously about maybe like 5 to 8 yards away from the goal, you don't want to be kind of down here taken. That's not really a goal kick. That's kind of close to the corner. So yeah, take it kind of in range of the goal, and this player kind of close. Now the reason for this again is to give that player time and space on the ball so they can start to dribble up. If this player plays this player over here, once that ball is traveling, this player can come off the halfway line and steal the ball. So it's really important once the opposition players are on the halfway line, is a shorter pass again will give a little bit more distance from when they pass the ball. That player can step. Okay, and again the objective is try to get the ball into the opposition half, and then obviously to score a goal in the other side. Any questions for the goal kicks?
I did not realize you could have an offensive player on the other half of the field.
Yes, yeah, you can have any of these players. So, sometimes I see this as well, right? So, you got one kid that can, have a big kick and try to, kick it down here again. But again, that's so risky because these players can maybe just drop back, steal the ball, stand in front of them, and that'll be difficult. And then they can again, it's just a 1v1. So it's important to have a good shape, get close. This one goes wide on the other side, so then you kind of keeping the field as big as possible. So when you have the ball, you try to tell your players, hey, keep the field as big as possible. So you have depth. Okay, so with this forward player, so stay as high as you can. You don't get too high because depend on your age, they probably don't have the ability to pass that far, right?
Some
So
soccer
you still want
meeting.
to stay high, and then you want this player on this
I
side
don't
and
know.
one
Just
player on
joined
one
it. I'm
side.
a few minutes late.
Okay, but yeah, so from a goal kick, they can go anywhere. Now,
So,
if you're talking about a kickoff, now if it's a kickoff, yeah, both teams must be in their own half.
right. So on defense, do they have to be in the circle or just at the half?
At the halfway line, yeah. So once it's a goal kick, so they kind of created that rule just because if this happens, if they didn't do this, because the player only has one kick, right? So then it'd be really difficult, to find someone. So if you play here, hey, this team could steal the ball and score on the goal pretty easily. So they came up with a rule. Hey, it's kind of like the build-out line when you'll see that in 77. Hey, drop back to the halfway line just to give that player more time and space on the ball, and then hopefully they can dribble up and pass. Yeah. So again, off defensively, the red team. So if you're coaching the red team, you probably want to say, hey, the closest player nearest the ball pressures the ball. So once this play is played here, this player is the closest. So hey, how can you pressure and try to steal the ball, as well as this player, coming close to him, because if this player gets beat, this player obviously can come in and help his teammate. So it's kind of like cover. We call that cover in soccer. Now, once that ball's over this side, hey, this player can come in, and this player can come in too. Important as well. Never have just one player stood in the goal. The reason why, again, if this player gets beat and this player starts to dribble up, again, once that ball is passed in here, this player can just easy turn with the ball. Okay, then it's basically 1v1, and they can just slot it in the corner. So if this player comes up a little bit, all right, it comes up. So he's protecting, if that ball's played here, this player is protecting the player plus the goal as well. They're still in front of the goal, but if you're so far back there, you're not really protecting the player and the goal. You're just protecting the goal, but the player can just turn and score. Also, if you just keep one back the whole time, it's not very fun for the kids as well. All right, so it's like, hey, we don't have goalkeepers in 4v4. Now, you don't want this player to go all the way up here, and then you don't have defensive cover. But I'd say they need to be halfway. So not on the goal line, not too far up, but they've got to be protecting the goal and worried about the forward player as well. So it's important not just to keep, and you will see that this season, players just standing on the goal because, obviously coaches don't want to let the opposition score, but, teach them how to stay connected. Okay, so how can you stay connected to your teammates? So if that ball does come up to this player as it's coming up, hey, how can you steal the ball maybe? Okay, so then they're actually involved in the play rather than, okay, I'm just going to sit back here, and then once the ball is shot, I'll try to save it with my feet or whatnot. So it's important to keep them, engaged and connected with your other defenders, basically. If they're still maybe coming up too far, you might want to say, hey, go back a little bit. But hey, we still want to protect the goal and the player and try to stay connected to steal the ball, and then we're on the offense. Because if you win the ball here, hey, we can score ourselves rather than just stand back. Plus, that's a lot of area for the other players to cover as well. So if he stays on the goal, it's going to be difficult to cover all these players. Good question. Good question on the being allowed in the opponent's half from the goal kick. Cool.
So it sounds like no offside until 7v7 then.
Yeah, so no offside until 9v9.
9v9, okay.
Yeah, so we don't even have offside in the 7v7 game either. So yeah, 4v4, you can't be offside. So offside basically, if these players were up here, and this player, as soon as the ball is played, if this player is behind the last defender, that's what offside means. Okay. So once the ball is played, so this player he or she is in an offside position right now. Now, if this player comes back, and we can use the lines on the field right here. So if this player is there, so you see how let's move this right here. So if this player now passes there, well, they're not behind the last defender. They're still in front technically. Now, if we just move it here, okay, now they're behind the player. So if this ball gets played here, that would be offside. Now, we don't have offsides. I'm just explaining what the offside rule means. But yeah, we don't have offside in the 44.
And no VAR here either, so that's
No
good.
VAR now. So yeah, if this ball is slightly over the line, yeah, we got that right. So it's up to the referee on the day for sure.
Thanks.
Any more questions about the goal kicks? And it's kind of similar maybe shape on the throw-in as well. So obviously the throw-in, the players must keep both feet on the ground. All right. Now the feet, maybe the referees don't know this, is probably a little bit more advanced. The feet can actually be on the line. Okay. So as long as the feet are on the line, that's acceptable to the placement of the player. So obviously the ball is behind their head, both hands, and they throw it, both hands, release the ball as the ball is going over their head. All right. So, I think a lot of referees say, hey, make sure your feet are behind the line. But hey, as long as your 1 foot is on the line and 1 foot can be behind, I don't tell kids to cross their feet over. That's maybe a balancing mishap right there. But a lot of coaches do that because it keeps their feet on the ground so they don't lift the feet. Because if they throw the ball and they jump or they lift one of the foot, it technically should be the opposition throw because that's a foul throw. So make sure you just tell them, hey, keep both feet on the ground once you release the ball over your head. I like to do this in throw-ins as well. It's basically the same shape. Okay, so you still have the same shape, the diamond shape. So now they have options to throw it, and again, depends how far they can throw. I bring them in because players probably can't throw as far as they can kick it, right? So as long as you have the good shape of, hey, you got the defender, you have the 2 wide midfielders. One of the wide midfielders is going to take the throw, and then you have the furthest forward player. So it gives options to throw it back, throw it across, or throw it forward. The first look should always be forward. Hey, can we throw that into that player? All right, so defenders will probably look like this. Can you throw it to the furthest player forward? You might want to say, hey, where can you move? To receive the ball. That might be just into a little space. Hey, can you move into the space to receive the ball from the throw-in? And you might tell your player, hey, don't throw it to him. Can you throw it into the space? So rather, because if you throw it to the player, they usually have players on their back or right next to them. So you can tell your players, hey, how can you get away from your defender? Where's the space to run into? Hey, can you throw it into the space? Perfect. Okay. Or can you throw it into feet? So yeah, these are the kind of the situations. So you might want to kind of consider, hey, a little bit of movement so they can receive the ball from the throw-in. But I'd say that was the general. Now, if you want to get this player in more, so it kind of they're closer. That could be another option as well. Because if this player miscontrols the ball, hey, maybe it falls to this player, and vice versa. If we throw it into this player, hey, they miscontrol. Hey, at least they're kind of in and around, so they can maybe pick up the loose ball, and then they can dribble forward. So that's throw-in. So obviously, if it comes off the red player here and it goes out on the sideline, it's the opposition ball. Okay, and again, any game you can't be offside from a throw-in. Cannot be offside from a goal kick in any of the games. Can't be offside from a kickoff. Can't be offside from a throw-in as well. Cool. Any questions about throw-ins?
Can you walk through defense on the throw-ins, like where you would recommend us?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, you want to say it's kind of you hear this phrase goal side or ball side. So obviously you don't want to be sometimes players go in front. Now, if this player can throw it over, that's going to be a little bit dangerous because we're not really goal side, right? That means between the player and the ball and our goal. Okay, so you want to be kind of behind them, so maybe you can step into the player. So you're here. So if this throw comes into there, so once it's thrown, now the player can maybe step in to win the ball if they're stood still. Okay, so as long as they're behind them, I think that'd be good. Your forward player, not a lot of times teams are looking to throw it back. So to maybe double up, you might want to say, hey, why don't you come in here and maybe help out a little bit now, okay, and get these in here because you probably want this player, let's say, covering, and now it's kind of like a 3 versus 2 right here. So 1, 2, 3 versus the 2 players they're trying to throw the ball into. So defensively, you've kind of really blocked off their options. So now if this happens, the offensive players, they should throw it in here. Okay, they should, but again, that's risky because if they miss control, and once that's thrown, they could steal the ball on that side. Okay, so in this instance, I would probably defend like this because you got that one player again, not in the goal. Okay, because again, you got a little bit too much space in this space here to track because this player could run into. All right, so but they're still connected, but protecting the goal as well. Okay, so see how they're kind of still in line with the ball and the goal. So that's protecting the space and the goal as well. So yeah, I'd probably do this. So maybe if they turn their body, if they're facing this way, okay, I'll tell my player, hey, get in front of this. So if they come and turn their body here, okay, I might say, hey, can you get in front of this player? Okay, so it just depends on where their body shape. So we call that cues. Which way are they looking? Okay, if they start to turn their body here, okay, you say, okay, you can creep up a little bit because you think they're going to throw there. Okay, so it depends where where that player is facing. That makes sense on the defensive side and how to maybe organize your players that way.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're welcome. Good stuff. Any more questions for the throw-ins there? So we did the goal kicks, we did the throw-ins. All right, corner kicks. This is always let's do a red corner kick here. Corner kicks. All right, so this is always the most interesting in the 4v4. Just because corner kicks is like just a bunch of players in and around the goal, making it difficult to score basically. Let's see. So corner kicks again. There's a variety of things that you could do. I would maybe suggest having two in and around the goal to start with, kind of centrally. Again, you still have your cover, right? So you cover player. So again, you don't want him back here, him or her. You want them kind of staying connected, but still, if we do lose the ball, hey, we're in a good spot to protect the goal and the other players as well. And again, it's just might be just a little bit about movement. How can they retrieve the ball? And depends on the tendencies of this player. Now, if this player has a good kick on them, and they can strike it into this area, that might be a good opportunity to score. Because again, if it's firm and they kick it firm, it could go anywhere, right? It could ricochet off the defenders, goes in the goal. It could be a dangerous kick. If you haven't really got someone like that, you can always say, hey, why don't you come closer? And if you can take a quick one, we say a quick corner, just maybe just a little easy pass. Okay, so then this player could maybe just dribble up, try to move and try to score in the goal. Once they do that, if this does attract another player, okay, now you can say, okay, can you play the ball across to the other player? All right, so he's kind of making that move. So if this player does release, you got that gap. If this player is closer, again, there's still slight gaps where that player can play the ball in for this player to maybe move to try to score a goal here. So there's all sorts of kind of different ways. I'd say if you can take it quick and have two players close to each other, do that, because then it really kind of encourages the dribble towards the goal, because at this age they should be dribbling more with the ball and getting comfortable with the ball, rather than using that big kick all the time, right? So we want to encourage the rather than the players just kicking the ball. All right, so just different ways for the corner kicks. I know it's kind of difficult at this age because once everyone's in here, it's really difficult to score a goal. So if you see that, just say, hey, come closer to the ball. Can you sprint to the ball? Can receive it? Hey, maybe play a short corner so then we can dribble up. So just different ways. Defensively, you probably want a couple in and around the goal. I like to kind of leave one up, just because usually, again, depending on the result or the scoreline, if you're 1-0 down, you might want to leave two up. Who knows? All right, so just depends. If you're 1-0 up and it's 2 minutes to go, you might want to bring everyone back. So it just depends on the scoreline and the situation in the game as well. But I always like to keep one up just because it's difficult to score. So then, hey, if we clear the ball, hey, this player's in a 1v1 situation. So again, it's just like the throw-ins, really. As long as they're close to the player, goal side. So see how this player is putting their body in front of the goal and the player. The ball is here. So if that player does receive it, again, they have to go through that player. That's goal side or ball side. Now, if this player's on the other side, again, and they play the ball in, again, they can score in the goal here, so they're on the wrong side. So as long as you say, hey, get goal side and be in front of the player and the goal, they're doing a good job. Questions on corners. For the 3v3, so this is 4v4, so you have a referee, you have to abide by the rules on corner kicks. So kickoffs, corner kicks, goal kicks, players just have one kick. So they cannot double touch it, they cannot dribble in from the corner. Now, if you have a 3v3 game, I would probably encourage more dribbling. So you guys can maybe arrange with yourselves as coaches to say, hey, what do you want to do from corner kicks? What do you want to do from throw-ins? Because like I say, you get the younger ones try to throw the ball in, it could be a bit of a nightmare, right? So honestly, as a coach, I like to just say, hey, you can either pass or dribble in. All right, so that's for the 3v3 teams. So that's the 19s and the 18s. So you might just speak to coach, hey, do you want to just pass in or dribble in? So now if it's a corner or if it's a throw-in on this side, now the players can actually dribble in with the dribble or pass in rather than pick the ball up to throw the ball. Okay, so just something to kind of maybe think about and change for the 3v3. And again, you might have to just adjust the rules to what kind of types of players you have and so on. So yeah, it could be to move them around for the goal kicks, corner kicks, and tell them one kick. They probably can't kick it 2 yards. So just say, hey, take another touch and dribble in. It's all good, no problem. So that will be just for the 3v3 games though. All right, any questions? All right, so let's go on to the last one will be kickoffs. So kickoff, so if a goal is scored, so say if red just scored in this goal, okay, so now we restart the game by a kickoff. So everyone has to be in their own half now. Okay, so if red scored, blue will have to kick the ball off. Oops. Now for kickoffs, it's a little bit some variables that you can do, variances, sorry. It's again just one kick. Okay, so I like to just have 2 players on the ball, one wide, one's protecting the goal but not in the goal, and just pass to this player, and then this player just dribbles. Okay, dribble forward, take them on. Okay, if you have a more advanced team, again depending on the opposition, because once that ball is kicked, again the opposition can pressure and try to steal the ball. Depending on where the opposition are placed on the field. So if this red team are kind of placed like this, you could say, hey, can you pass first time into the space? So then that player can run onto the ball, right? So that the ball can either be played back, side, or forward from a kickoff. But it just means they just have one touch low. So there's little different areas. If you see players, okay, they're looking this way, and now they're defending on this side. Okay, obviously your player can turn real quick and then play the ball onto the other side. Okay, so obviously we have more space for that player to dribble. Defensively, so you see how I've got, again, we're trying to get that diamond shape, that diamond formation. Defensively, you might want to be kind of like this. All right, so might want to drop back again because you're more worried. If you see players, if they start to pass into these spaces, naturally you want to, instead of going forward, you want to drop to encourage them to play into feet, because you'd rather play to feet here, so then we can pressure and we're still in front of them, rather than if they play that ball in here and now they're closer to our goal. So we want to encourage them to play to feet rather into the space that we can run onto. So I think this is a good shape. You could technically have this player come in a little bit. If you do this, again, you're giving a little bit too much space out wide for them to pass that easy. But it depends on the players that you have, right? So if they can't make that pass into space and it's too far and they can only kick it 3 or 4 yards, just get them close together, one touch. Okay, now they try to dribble or maybe find a pass. Okay, So, at least they kind of, getting close, and they're, we're still in a good defensive shape, even for the blue team. Because, when you have the ball for the blue, you still have to worry about if immediately you lose the ball. Okay. And that we call that transition from attack. So when we have the ball as blue, whoops, when we have the ball for blue, we're in attack, but we can transition quickly if the Reds steal it. So now we've transitioned to defense, but we're in still a good defensive shape because we got that player covering. This player can come in, and then we can try to steal the ball as well. So different options from the goal kicks, offensively and then defensively as well. So again, I kind of tell most coaches, hey, the formation you want to play, it's kind of like a diamond. Easy to talk to kids. You have options. So if the Red have the ball, you have options to play to the sides, and then you've got options to go forward. Okay, it's exactly the same. Whoever has the ball, we have options going back and forward as well. So you're always kind of connected with the ball. If you're like here, and it's not too bad, but we probably just don't have the angles, and that'll be easy to defend as well. So it's important. You might see players just on one side as well. So it'd be important to tell players, hey, how can you spread out? Who's on my left side? Who's on my right side? Okay, so it's important to maybe just say that. And you might want to say, or the other side. Sometimes the kids might not know their right and left, so you just say, hey, who's on the other side? Or where's the space? Where can we play the ball? But we need someone on the other side, love. Okay. Cool. Any questions? Questions about the rules?
Yeah. Ryan, this is Cliff. Sorry, I'm joining late. Got off work late. So real fast, because the team I'm coaching is the 2018, and are they 3-on-3 or 4-on-4?
Yeah, they're 3-on-3. Yeah.
Okay.
So 18's a 3v3.
Okay, so it's 3, and that's always no goalies for 3-on-3 or 4-on-4.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's all the same.
So
Okay.
I was kind of talking about no goalkeepers, even for the 4v4, 3v3, just to try to have a player covering the goal, but not in the goal. So you're covering the goal to stay kind of still connected to your group. Because again, if in this game, if players just stand on the goal, it's the ball's on this side and all the players over here, they're not really involved, they're not really engaged. It could become boring for them. So you still want a defender that stays back and to cover the goal, but also to be active in defending as well. So if the ball's on this side, okay, like I said earlier, if this player's just in the goal, hey, this player can just easy pass and they can turn. And now this is going to just be an easy slot in the goal because the players aren't as big as the goal. Okay. Now, if they're kind of halfway, so kind of in between, now once that ball is played to them, hey, this player's engaged. Maybe they can steal the ball in front of them. Okay. Now, if they get beat, they get beat. That's gonna happen, right? But as long as they're engaged, and you're not just having a player in the goal all the time, I think that's great, right? So you just say, hey, halfway, because now you're teaching them how to defend. Once that ball is played, now you can go and can you steal it? Or if you can't steal it, at least, hey, how to defend a 1v1. So yeah, that's really, really important for the 4v4. 3v3, it might be a little bit difficult, right? Because 3v3 is going to look like this, and the 4v4 could probably look like this. Everyone just all together, right? Now, when this happens, it's important as a coach, don't get too frustrated because 3v3 and 4v4, the younger they are, they will do this because they're in that stage of my ball, and we only have one soccer ball, so they just want to run after it. When it's like this, you just have to encourage them to dribble and then wear. So if this player has the ball, if you cannot pass because everyone's bunched up, where can we dribble? Where's the space? Hey, look up. Where's the space? Where can you dribble? Because kids will just want to kick it, right? They just want to kick it into this group of players. You're like, no. We don't want to kick it. Where's the space? Now the space is on the other side. We have to dribble with the ball. Okay, dribble onto the other side, and we can go around him, and then hopefully score. That's going to happen 99% of the time in the 3v3 and the younger 4v4s as well. So it's important if they're bunched up, don't get too frustrated, right? You can say, hey, can you spread out a little bit? How can we spread out? But then it's mainly coaching in the flow and guiding them when they have the ball. Where's the space? Where can we dribble? Hey, can we dribble with the ball? Where can we dribble? So it's those kind of guided low order questions that you guys can speak to your players rather than getting too frustrated because they're all bunched up. It's gonna happen. All right. So just tell them, hey, dribble. Where can we dribble to? Hey, don't just hit it first time. You just kicked it into the bunch of players there. Where can we dribble to? Okay, where's the space? So that's gonna happen all the time. 3v3, it might not look like this. One player's probably going to go over here speaking to mom. This player wants the snacks. This one wants to go over here. So it might not even look 3v3 as well. As long as they're having fun, they get the hang of it and go from there.
All right, sounds good.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. If you guys have any questions throughout the season, don't be afraid to reach out. I think that's what I've got in my notes right now, and go over. I do have this open here. So if you go to programs recreational, I think I kind of sent this out, but it's always good to go over this. If you just scroll down to referees, I think it says refs or rules. Sorry, rules. Okay, it has the 3v3 and the 4v4, or U6, U8 is the 4v4, U4, U5 is the 3v3. So it goes over the kind of rules and the field diagram here. It depends on how many you have on your team. I know I kind of maxed out the rosters, I think, on most of the 4v4s and 3v3s. So try to have players play at least 50% of the time. Roll off subs, which means you can sub any time the ball goes out or the player's stopped. Let's say a 4v4. I think this. I don't know why this is. This is a 4v4, and it has 3v3 here, but it's okay. Size 3 ball. Duration of the game. You don't have to worry about that unless you don't have a referee. No goalkeepers. So strongly discourage teams from having a defender sweeper positions in the goal the whole time, right? So it's not against the rules to have a player in the goal. We highly or strongly discourage that, though. Okay, so if you have a team you're playing against, it's not against the rules to do it. It probably doesn't help with their enjoyment and then their development, being involved and engaged in the game, though. Okay, so but players might naturally do that as well, so it might be good to kind of speak to players if they do that. And then it's important as well, if you're coaching 4v4, just to rotate the players around. So don't just have one defender all the time that plays defender. How can you switch positions? All right, so they can play defender, they can play forward, they can play on the outside as well. That's what 4v4, like say 3v3, they're going to go out anywhere. So just going to look over the rules, and a lot of stuff you probably won't need because there's going to be a referee there. The other coaches, maybe experienced, so they know the game as well. So just go through this, and let's say if you have any questions, let me know. All right, I appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
We'll see you at 6:45.
Yeah. If you guys want to stay on, I'm going to stop this recording now and go off quickly.
All right. See you later.
Yeah.